It's over for Manchester City. Rodri has suffered a season-ending injury following the draw against Arsenal, which was a four-goal thriller. Manchester City 2, Arsenal 2, in case you are under a rock. Now, the season's over for City. They're not going to win any trophies. Now, I wish that was true. I wish I could say that. Injuries can affect anybody, and Rodri is a vital piece in the City puzzle. He gives a lot defensively. He also gives a lot offensively, really. He's like the socket, and all the other players get plugged in. He's the best in their position. They not for the whole season, but they've had to deal with Kevin De Bruyne and Rodri being injured before, and anybody can be, suffer injuries, and any team could suffer knock-on effects of key players not playing. But if anybody can cope with it, it is Manchester City. Now, I don't think they've quite got that specialist replacement for Rodri, not necessarily in terms of quality, because he's Rodri in it, really, but someone that can do a certain job. Now, Declan Rice and Rodri, I love Declan Rice. You're not in the same, he's a level above, respectfully, if I'm honest with you. I think Rice is the second best in his position, but I understand why Pep Guardiola might have. I get the reasoning behind why he would have, wanted to go for Declan Rice potentially, to play with Rodri or instead of Rodri for when circumstances like this occur. People, now Rodri has been speaking about a lot of football has been played, and you do wonder. I'm no physio, I'm no doctor, but the amount of injuries and the physical conditioning of players has to be raised into question. You're seeing every week players and managers speaking about the schedule, people, or the increased fixture calendar list for club and country. If we get into the Athletic, Manchester City's Rodri set to be out for a significant period with serious knee injury, which from a human point of view, first and foremost, he's in his as a footballer, he's in his peak, but as a human being, he's in his 20s. He's going to need his knees, in it. I'm sure you're going to be a father if you're not, grandfather, and you need your legs to live in it, really. So I wish him a speedy recovery. I hope it's not as serious as this. I don't know anything about knee injuries, but when you hear that kind of injury, anybody that's seen these kind of things up close and personal, it's like a popping sound. It is quite, how can I make it? Like, obviously, if you see someone's leg get broken, that will weird out anyone, but it's quite a disturbing noise, really. That's why it doesn't surprise me Rodri was reduced to tears, not because of evidently the injury that obviously plays a factor, but the knock-on effect. And he's been pictured in Barcelona as well, as eventually the physical wounds heal, but it's the mental ones, and it's your knee. It's like, it's not the same, but it's like Odegaard with his ankle. You need to use your knees in all sorts of movement, really, much less play football. So yeah, not really what City want to hear, people. Rodri is set to be ruled out for a significant period of time after suffering a serious knee injury in the Premier League draw with Arsenal, and there are fears he may not return this season. As you know, the Manchester City midfielder went down clutching his right knee and was forced off after 21 minutes at the Etihad Stadium, which I think Rodri coming off made the game a bit different from a City perspective, because their game plan with Bernardo and Gundogan rotating, there was a lot of space. Kovacic is obviously a good player, but he's not Rodri. I think that played a part. I think when you get beyond the whole, the red card, the whole shenanigans between both teams, down to 10 men, the drama of the 4 goals between the teams, when you look at it from a tactical point of view, I think Pep Guardiola, not that I can be a cheeky and tell Pep anything about football, but I believe he needs to go back to the drawing board, because it was really just their centre halves on the ball, really and truly, and they're the ones having the shots, and they couldn't find a way to break down Arsenal. Now, evidently that's easier said than done, but you knew how Arsenal were going to play, and we've announced ourselves as one of the, if not the best defensive team in Europe, people. So there's plenty of talking points. He immediately appeared in pain. A number of his teammates quickly gestured for him to receive medical attention. Rodri walked off the pitch accompanied by 2 members of City's medical staff, and as you know, was replaced by Kovacic. Tests have now revealed a serious injury, and with further examinations to take place in Spain, there is still no official timeline for his recovery. However, sources close to the player have suggested he may be sidelined for the remainder of the 2024-25 season. And obviously, he's won a lot of stuff at City, much less last season, coming off the back of becoming a Euros winner, trying to help City, I guess, as a minimum. They want to go for quadruples and Premier League honours in what could be Pep's last season. So, yeah, it's a bitter pill to swallow, man. It's a sad life, really and truly. 28 years of age as well, which Rodri's a bit older than I actually thought. Now, 28, he's a year younger than me. You're a baby in terms of life, but for a 28-year-old footballer, the older you get, it does raise in question how and when you recover from such. He played 4,327 minutes across 50 games for his club last season, and faces the prospect of an 11-month-long campaign, or face the prospect, better yet, in 24-25. As you know, Manchester City will be playing people in the FIFA Club World Cup. So we'll have to see. And he's obviously been very critical about the amount of games played, which he's bang on the money. We all know the importance. We don't need any statistics to tell us how important Rodri is for club and country, how great he is. And I guess the only silver lining is, you know, Real Madrid. Big up you lot on my second channel. Make sure you're following on the first. But Real Madrid are looking at Trent, Saliba allegedly. You know, the linchpins in Premier League side. So the only silver lining is surely Real Madrid do not move for him without A, seeing how he recovers from his injury, and B, if he does get back to his best, people. Since arriving from Atletico Madrid, the Spain midfielder's influence has been extraordinary, with City having lost just 11% of their games with him in the side compared to 24% without him. And he's a bit of a villain. He's not a goal scorer. That's not his job, but he got the Champions League winning goal. And I remember a game at the Emirates where when Arsenal first started to kind of change things, he scored the late winner, if I remember correctly. And obviously, Rodri's a great player. There's no statistics we require to tell us such. But City's points per game average with Rodri in the side, albeit across all comps, is just 2.36. Without him, it's just 2.04. However, if Rodri was to miss the rest of the Premier League season, using those averages, City would finish on 80 points compared to a projected 91 points with him playing every week. That's great for me, because if Arsenal could get plus 90 points, we win the league. Fortunately for me, I'm not a physio. I'm not a mathematician that can do all of these things. The one thing I know is football is won on the pitch, and you'd be sadly mistaken if you think City are going to have a massive fall off without Rodri. It probably, in my opinion, plays more part in the Champions League than it does in the Premier League. And, you know, with City seeing the newcomers on the block with Arsenal trying to take their title with it, for me, you could see that the players are up for it. I think there's fire in the City players' bellies, because obviously the aftermath, you know, every one of those players gave interviews and they seemed quite annoyed with Arsenal. So I thought it was football. I didn't know it was, you know, Real Housewives of Manchester. But fair play, City. And obviously in what could be Pep's last season, we all know the 115 charges, the backdrop. This will, in my opinion, make everybody's percentages go up. And, you know, they've got Pep Guardiola. He'll have to find another solution. Does he, you know, put Gundogan there, or put Kevin De Bruyne there, and they play the six differently? Does he persist with Kovacic? Does he change it? Does he move for something in January? I don't know. Pep Guardiola's the madman, so I'm sure he'll be doing that. But that would be great for me, people. In 3 of the past 4 seasons, 91 points would have been enough to win the title. However, the last time a team won the league with as few as 80 points was Manchester City in 2010-11. City with Roberto Mancini at the helm finished 3rd that year. So, boy, and we all know, listen, possession won, all of these things, he's up there really. You know, probably the only statistic, Declan Rice is higher, and I would probably equate that. You look at both of those players, Declan Rice and Rodri, they're on the front foot. They spend a lot of their game, obviously winning the ball back and stuff, but City and Arsenal on the front foot 9 times out of 10 in the Premier League. You dominate proceedings. The game is really played in the opposition's half. So naturally, you know, that is going to sway their statistics negatively slightly in that regard. You look at Rodri, obviously City are up here in terms of dominating proceedings. Arsenal are probably there. So that's probably why Declan Rice is there, because he's having to win the ball a lot more. It's like looking at defenders. When you see defenders with the most tackles and things, I would not expect to see Van Dijk, Saliba, or the City centre-halves up there in the Premier League, probably past the 10-plus game. How can I make it make sense? When we get to 10-plus games, purely because they're not doing less defending. It's less all mans to the pump, making a million tackles kind of thing, if that makes sense. Rodri is an all-phase player for Manchester City, you know. And again, for me, please go and watch the first 20 minutes for City against Arsenal. I think when I watched the game again, it was a very tactical, you know, it was a very tactical kind of spectacle, if that makes sense. Successful passes in the up half, he's there, which shows. When you think of Rodri, you think of ball winning and all that stuff, which is his job. But he's a player that contributes in all phases of play. And I wouldn't say dictates play for City, but it does help. Did they go with a young Rico Lewis? I know Rodri plays as like a hybrid 6. Rico Lewis is intelligent enough to play left back, right back. He said he actually sees his future as a central midfielder. He's a manager's dream, or, you know, a Pep Guardiola kind of dream. So we'll have to see, people. And it does raise in question a lot of stuff. You look at the most competitive minutes played among players from Europe's top 5 leagues in 23-24. Valverde, Rice, Rodri, who's now injured, Williams, Saliba, and Foden. Now, anyone can get injured. And there's probably players that have played a lot of minutes, but they're not quite in the 5,000s. it's ridiculous. Yeah, you can say footballers get paid a lot of money, but let's have it right. Footballers and indirectly managers are guinea pigs in the grand scheme of things. The fat cats that are the reasons we've got an expanded Champions League, an expanded World Cup, the Club World Cup's been expanded, you know, the pointless friendlies in the Nations Leagues. These are not the players or the managers, and they don't care. Many a player of all clubs, you know, have cried about the fixture calendar list, which they're right. Nothing is being done because they don't care. And I said it, I'm going left with this, yeah, but for me, I look at the last Euros. I don't think it was a quality Euros. There was obviously great individual moments, great individual games, fantastic games, but the general quality from, you know, all the group stage games to the finals, I don't think it was. Players didn't look sharp, and the last two back European competitions, let alone the one that's just gone. How much of that is a factor in the sense of, you have to wonder mentally, what does it do? Yes, for people like myself that are not earning what people are earning, what's a cheap wage for a footballer? 20 grand a week. Some are up to 3,000, 4,000 pounds a week. We'd all love to do that, and I'll take Rodri's injury for that, you know, for that money. But I think that's a very lazy view, and you wonder how much mentally this robs footballers. But yeah, from, you know, obviously as an Arsenal fan, hearing that there's injuries generally and a depleted City side, it gives you a bit of confidence because these fighting margins can go for you. From a human point of view, I've never been a player or a man that's going to sit here and waffle about injuries or happy that players have been injured, because I don't advocate that. This is a man's health. So most importantly, me and on behalf of you lot listening, I wish Rodri a speedy recovery, and I hope it's not as bad, but it's a bitter pill to swallow. It's something that City have seen, not as extreme, but happened before. And it's something that they have to find solutions around. Injuries are not unique to Manchester City or the club I support, Arsenal Football Club. So we're going to have to see. But on that note, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts. Peace.